What if you could look at any challenge, any critic, or any impossible situation and feel absolutely zero fear? You might think that kind of unshakable confidence is something you're born with, a gift for the chosen few. But what if I told you that the most confident man to ever walk the earth wasn't born that way? He built it, piece by piece, in the absolute silence of his own mind. You see, Bruce Lee didn't just have skills, he had a secret way of thinking that protected him from the noise of the world. And today, I'm going to show you exactly how he did it, so you can stop living for the approval of others and start building a confidence that literally nothing can break. Wait, if it was that simple, why is everyone still so anxious? Why are we all so terrified of what people think? That's exactly the question Bruce Lee had to answer for himself before he ever threw a punch on screen. He discovered something that most people won't realize until it's way too late. And no, it's not about positive thinking or affirmations. It's about something much more radical. Something that honestly might make you uncomfortable at first. Ready to find out what it is? Before we get there, let's go back. Hong Kong, the 1950s. Bruce is a teenager. He's in a city that's constantly changing, constantly judging, and frankly, he doesn't fit in. He was an outsider in his own home, and he was being picked on by local street gangs. Most kids would have hidden. They would have lowered their heads and hoped to stay invisible. But Bruce, he chose to confront it. But here's the detail everyone misses. He didn't just go out and start fights because he was angry. He realized that the only person he was actually fighting was the version of himself that was afraid. He started training, yes. But he didn't train for the fight. He trained to strip away the self that cared about being liked. Think about that for a second. If you didn't care at all if someone liked you, what would you actually do with your day? Would you change your job? Would you walk into that room with your head held high? Bruce realized that confidence isn't about being better than everyone else, it's about being so comfortable with who you are that no one else's opinion even registers on your radar. It's easy to say, right? Just don't care. But how do you actually flip that switch when you're standing in front of someone you're intimidated by? This is where the real Bruce Lee secret comes in. He practiced something called the art of detachment. He viewed himself like a mirror. When people gave him criticism, he let it pass through him like a reflection, but he didn't hold on to it. He didn't let it become a part of his identity. If someone threw a punch, he dodged. If someone threw an insult, he dodged. He stayed empty. And in that emptiness, he found his greatest strength. But there's a trap here. Most people think detachment means not caring about people. It doesn't. It means not being controlled by them. Bruce was one of the most loving, dedicated friends you could ever have. But he was impossible to manipulate. Can you imagine the freedom of knowing that no matter what someone says to you, they can't change your internal temperature? They can't make you feel small, because you've already decided how big you are. Now, let's pivot to something even more intense. This isn't just about mindset, it's about the habit of honesty. Bruce wrote himself a letter when he was just starting out. He didn't write it to his fans, or to his family. He wrote it to his future self. He made a vow that he would become the biggest star in the world, not for the money, but to prove to himself that he could command his own reality. Every single day, he lived as if that future was already true. He acted, he spoke, and he trained with the posture of a man who was already at the top. Do you see the psychological trick here? He wasn't waiting for the world to confirm his confidence. He was giving himself the confirmation first. Most of us are waiting for the promotion, the date, or the praise before we decide to feel confident. Bruce did the opposite. He built the internal structure, and the world had no choice but to follow. It's the ultimate form of fake it till you make it, but he didn't fake it with lies, he faked it with relentless, daily discipline. Wait, I have to stop you here. Because there's a massive twist in his story that most biographers skip. He didn't get there by being fearless. He got there by being terrified and doing it anyway. There was a specific fight, early in his career, that left him shaken. He realized his technique was great, but his mind was rigid. He was trying to force the fight. He was trying to be the great Bruce Lee, instead of just being himself. That was the moment he realized that confidence and arrogance are on opposite sides of the spectrum. Arrogance is a mask for insecurity. Confidence is the quiet knowledge that you can handle whatever comes, even if you fail. When he realized that he could fail and still be Bruce, everything changed. The pressure evaporated. He started to flow. He could take a hit, smile, and get back up, because his worth wasn't tied to the win. And that's when he became unbeatable. Because how do you beat someone who isn't afraid to lose? You can't. They're free. This brings us to a mid-video realization. If you were sitting there thinking, well, that's Bruce Lee, he was a genius, you're missing the point. You don't have to be a martial arts legend to apply this. What if you took just one aspect of your life, maybe the way you speak in meetings, or the way you handle an argument with your partner, and you practiced detachment for just 24 hours? What would happen? Would the world fall apart? Or would you finally feel like you're the one holding the steering wheel? I want you to look at your biggest insecurity right now. Don't look away. What is it? Is it your looks? Your bank account? Your lack of experience? Now, imagine Bruce Lee looking at that exact same insecurity. Do you think he'd be worried about it? No, he'd be curious about it. He'd say, why does this define me? Who says it has to? That's the shift, turning insecurity into curiosity. His discipline wasn't just about the gym. It was about his environment. He was ruthless about who he spent his time with. If someone was bringing down his energy, if someone was constantly planting seeds of doubt, he distanced himself. Not with malice, but with a clear understanding that his mind was his sanctuary. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If your inner circle is making you feel like you have to be something you're not, how can you ever be confident? Think about that tonight. Who are you letting into your sanctuary? And more importantly, what are you saying to yourself when you're alone? Bruce used to talk to himself constantly. But it wasn't the, you're so great, type of talk. It was the, you're capable of solving this type of talk. He was his own best coach, not his own worst judge. Can you try that for just 1 hour today? Instead of criticizing your mistake, ask yourself how you'd fix it. It sounds small, but it changes everything. Now, we're getting to the core of the legend. People look at his movies and see the action. But the people who knew him saw a man who was constantly searching for a deeper truth. He realized that the ultimate confidence comes from knowing that you are part of something much larger than your own ego. When he stopped trying to be Bruce Lee, the movie star, and started trying to be a vessel for truth, he became magnetic. People weren't just watching a fighter. They were watching a man who was completely and totally home, inside his own skin. Imagine that feeling, to be completely at home in your own skin. No more checking the mirror 5 times before you leave the house. No more editing your words because you're afraid they'll be misinterpreted. Just you, raw, real, and ready. That isn't a goal, that's your birthright. But I know what you're thinking. What if I try this, and I still fail? Let me ask you a question back. Have you ever failed at something and realized that the world didn't end? That you actually learned something? That you're still here? Failure is just data. It's just the universe telling you, okay, that didn't work, try a different angle. When you detach from the outcome, you suddenly have the energy to try again. And again, and again. That's how you become unstoppable. We're closing in on the end, but I want you to really lock this in. Bruce Lee's confidence wasn't a destination. It was a practice. A daily, hourly, second-by-second practice. He didn't wake up one day and say, I'm done, I'm confident now. He woke up every single day and chose to face his doubts. He chose to be honest. He chose to be himself. And he invites you to do the same. So, here is my final challenge to you. For the next 7 days, I want you to perform a confidence audit. Every time you feel that little twinge of, what will they think? Just stop. Take a breath. Ask yourself, is this fear mine, or is it someone else's expectation? And then, choose your next action based on what you believe. It's going to feel weird. People might notice you're acting differently. But that's just because they were used to the version of you that was trying to please them. Let them adjust. This is your life. And it's a beautiful one, if you just stop hiding. Everything Bruce Lee taught us comes back to one simple, terrifying, wonderful truth. You are more than enough. You always have been. You just spent so much time trying to be someone else that you forgot how to be you. So, Are you ready to reclaim your own mind? Are you ready to stop apologizing for existing? The world doesn't need another copy of someone else. It needs you. Think about that moment of peak intensity. Whatever it is you've been putting off, do it. Do it with the focus of a master, but with the heart of a student. Be like water. Adapt, move, and never let anyone hold you back. You are the legend of your own life. And the only person who can stop you is the one you see in the mirror every morning. Now, go ahead, look them in the eye, and let them know that you're finally awake. Are you in? Because the journey to true confidence doesn't start tomorrow. It starts with the very next thing you do. Make it count.